All right, thank you, Cameron. Governor Tony Evers delivered the annual State of the State address tonight.
He focused on workforce issues, calling 2024 the year of the worker, but he also focused his comments on abortion and voting maps.
Political reporter Dariel Fair has you covered on the governor's speech. Dariel?
Yes, Brandon and Amber. Tonight, the governor highlighted a host of issues his administration plans to focus on in 2024. Evers focused much of his address on the state's current workforce challenges, announcing new efforts his administration was planning to take in the coming year. The governor plans to sign an executive order next week that would establish a healthcare workforce task force to help make recommendations for the next biannual budget. Evers also announced his administration was launching a new teacher apprenticeship pilot program with the Department of Public Instruction to provide additional support to new educators. He also challenged the legislature to take action.
I again call on the legislature to address what I believe are the two greatest challenges facing our state. The first, our decade-long struggle to retain, attract, and train talented workers to address our state's workforce shortages. And the second, the Republican majority's disinterest in working towards a meaningful bipartisan plan to do something about it.
Evers also revisited conversations on abortion access. This week, GOP lawmakers proposed a referendum question to change the state's abortion policy to ban the procedure at 14 weeks.
I want to speak directly to women in Wisconsin tonight. I will veto any bill that takes away your reproductive freedom or makes reproductive health care any less acceptable than it is today, period.
Evers said what's happened with abortion over the last 2 years is an example of why we need fair voting maps. The governor said he's hopeful for redrawn districts ahead of the election cycle.
Next week, I'll sign an executive order creating new health care workforce task.
Today, Republican lawmakers in the Senate voted and passed a bill to amend the redistricting process less than 24 hours after the bill was introduced. I was told by a source that the Assembly is likely to meet tonight to vote on a proposal similar to that one.
And Dariel, you also just heard from Republicans. They're not too keen on some of the governor's proposals.
Yes, that's right, Amber. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos said the governor rehashed much of his policies that were introduced in previous years. Vos also said Evers is not speaking to the 4 tax cut proposals the GOP introduced earlier today. Returning some of the state's surplus back to Wisconsinites, it was a missed opportunity, is what Vos said as well.
My biggest disappointment is that with a record surplus in the till, we didn't hear him mention a single thing about giving relief back to the average taxpayer. I want to see some of the details. There really weren't a lot of initiatives. It was mostly task forces and working groups of public employees. That's great, but that's not what Wisconsin needs right now.
Vos also spoke to the governor's comments on abortion and his claims that he would veto any legislation the GOP introduces to restrict reproductive access. Vos says the state's current law allowing abortions for up to 20 weeks was harmful. And Vos also stated that the GOP's proposal will include exceptions for cases of rape and incest, claiming the referendum will give Wisconsinites a chance to make their preferences be heard in this next election. Live from the Capitol, Dariel Fair, 27 News.